I thought I'd do this vlog, to be honest, for selfish reasons really, because whilst my blog my website is all, it does make, I do make money from it, I do make a bit of money from it, and it's kind of my business. It's also, for me, a bit like therapy, writing down things that maybe I don't sit and talk to people about, and just talking about my life and things that interest me. It is quite soothing, and it is like kind of therapy. And to be honest, this video, the reason I'm doing this video, it's not to get likes or sympathy. I don't care if one person watches it. I don't care if 100 or 1,000 people watch it. I don't care if people like it or hate it. It's just for me, to be honest. It's for me to just talk about something that I wouldn't, I don't want to sit and talk about to somebody else, because when you talk to somebody else, they respond, they have questions, they have like sympathy, they look at you with sympathy, and I don't want that. I want to be able to say what I'm going through without that. The reason I'm doing this video, and the reason I'm rambling on and probably not making much sense, is because I as you all know, I'm pregnant, and if you've seen my blog recently or in the past few months, I've announced that it's a boy, and I am now 19 weeks and 6 days, so tomorrow I'll be 20 weeks. And today I am going into the hospital to have a medical miscarriage. It's a medical miscarriage because the baby is actually alive. He has a heartbeat. He's fully formed. He has fingers, toes, his head, his brain, all his organs. But unfortunately, there have been problems with him, and he isn't necessarily the way he's supposed to be. So I'm about to go through probably the most terrifying and heartbreaking and painful thing that I could ever imagine going through right now. I'm sorry if this video upsets anyone. I'm sorry if anyone watches this and thinks like, why the hell are you posting this? Why the hell are you telling the world? And again, I just think if anybody is going through this, all I've done is search and search and search to try and find other people who have been through what I'm going through, to try and get advice, because it's so scary. Honestly, I can't even put into words how terrifying it is to know what I'm about to go through. But yeah, so obviously I'm about to go through this whole process. And without going too much into everything, I'm not trying to put down how painful or awful it is to have a miscarriage naturally, or to have like a stillbirth or something, because they're all absolutely horrendous things that I always thought before, I couldn't imagine going through that, I couldn't imagine much worse than that. But our situation is a little bit different, and the way it's a little bit different is because we've had to make the decision, and it's been based on risks. And I think this is where it's just that little bit crueler to me in my head, is because we are responsible. It's not where if it had just been, oh, I'm sorry, your baby's got a hole in its heart, its brain's not functioning or not created properly, then as heartbreaking as it is, it would be so much easier than what we're going through right now. Because right now, our baby has various problems that on their own, all the problems on their own are fairly okay. One of them would require surgery as soon as the baby's born. It's usually quite successful. It's not nice, but it's usually quite successful. So that one he could have. There's another one where you'd have to wear some kind of apparatus to help reshape things. It's a separate thing that's wrong. And then there's some other more complicated things that they don't really know what it means, and how much damage or what kind of, I don't know, what kind of things they would need to do to the baby. So there's various things that they've seen that are quite worrying, and if it had been one thing, you know, you'd probably take the risk. If it's something that is generally an easy fix or not too bad to deal with, then you would take the risk, or I would take the risk. But because there's quite a few things wrong with the baby, we've been advised that points to there being generally a problem with the baby. Now, they can't. I think the worst thing is they can't give us a definite. They can't say your baby has got this. Your baby will not survive. Your baby will be fine. They can't tell us any of those things. They can't. We do know that the baby has, at the minimum, those things that would need fixing and could be hard and difficult for them, but you know, that would be best case scenario, and we don't know if we have best case scenario. We don't know if he has some kind of disability or learning difficulties that could, you know, that wouldn't affect him too badly and he'd still have a quality of life, and we don't know if he would have severe to the point where he wouldn't have a quality of life. And so we've had to basically make a decision on lots of questions rather than answers. But what we do know is that these things don't look good. And from their experience, when you've got a multiple structural problems with the baby, that points to there being some kind of syndrome, condition, problem with the baby, and we just don't know what that is. And now, if anyone's watching this thinking, oh, well, you know, lots of disabled children or people with learning difficulties, you know, they have a great life, and trust me, if I knew that the baby had, for example, Down syndrome, that for me is a risk that I would take, and I would happily continue the pregnancy if it came back that he had Down syndrome, and that's why, and that kind of gave reasons to why there were problems with him. I would take that risk because for me, a lot of people with Down syndrome do have a really good quality of life, or have a pretty good quality of life. But the problem we have is we've had those tests. He doesn't have Down syndrome, he doesn't have Edwards, he doesn't have Patau. So these things that would we be able to make decisions on, they're coming back clear. Which means that they have to look at the rest of the chromosomes. That's what they're doing at the minute. But again, they're not expecting anything to come back. They expect them to come back clear because they think, well, it's very likely to just be something wrong with the DNA somewhere. And unfortunately, DNA it's just like, imagine just a huge amount of code. There's just so many things in there, and it would be like looking for that one spelling mistake in the hundreds of thousands of letters and whatever. You couldn't test for that. You can test for specific things, but you can't test generally for a problem with DNA. And obviously that opens you up to all sorts of things, you know, some absolutely horrific things. And I suppose we've spent weeks now just deliberating what we're doing, because we've known since about 16 weeks that there's something not right, but we didn't know at the time to the degree. And we've known since about probably 18 weeks that we have to think about this. So for the last few weeks, we've had to have these discussions, me and my husband, which are just the kind of discussions you don't want to have at all. You really, really don't want to have these discussions with each other, and it hurts. It's the most painful thing, and it brings out every emotion. It brings out anger. You get angry with each other. You want to cry. You want to shout. You want to scream. You don't want to talk about it. You feel horrible for even talking about it, but you have to talk about these things. And we decided that we had to decide on what would be the worst outcome for us. And for us, the worst outcome would be to have a child who is very poorly, who suffers, who doesn't have a quality of life. That would break my heart every day. And we have to think about our other son as well. For him to have a brother who is going through that, it's not fair on him, it's not fair on us, it's not fair on the baby. And you know, the new child, that would be the worst case scenario for me. For a child that has no quality of life and has a really horrible time, I just couldn't do that. Which means that the other second worst, just closely behind that scenario, would be for us to terminate the pregnancy, and for him to have just had those problems but have generally been okay. That's definitely a close second, but unfortunately it is a second. It does come second. So we've decided that our pain of going through this medical miscarriage would be just that little bit better than his pain. And that's how we've had to base our decision, which still leaves a lot of torment and conflict and questions in your head. You're constantly saying to yourself, is this the right thing? What am I doing? I can't do this. And it's constant in my head. With this, the moment my brain turns back on or switches, is awake, that's there. I don't have to think about it, I don't have to remember it doesn't go away, it's just there. If I wake up for a glass of water or the toilet in the night, because obviously I'm pregnant and I wake up through the night, if I wake up, it's there, and it keeps me awake all night, every night, which is just, it's absolutely cruel, because even if you make a decision, your brain's torturing you. It's making you dream of a baby. It's making you look at all the videos of babies on Facebook. It's making you notice all the babies that are around you when you're out and about. And it's like your brain's trying to torture you, but it's just normal. If I start acting happy or pretending I'm fine in front of other people, because obviously I don't want to talk about it, I then feel guilty that I haven't been crying every day and I haven't gone to bed. But I can't do that. I have to be a mum. I have to go to work. I have to just carry on. And all I want to do is go to bed and just stay there and cry. But I can't. I have to go to work, I have to put a smile on my face, and don't get me wrong, my work has been brilliant, but I have to keep going, and that's what I have to do. I can't let my son see how I'm feeling, so I have to be extra bubbly and happy around my son, because he's 4 and I don't want him to go through this, and he is so excited about having a baby brother, which is what makes it more heartbreaking. It makes it even more heartbreaking because he sleeps, see, this just even breaks my heart. He sleeps with an elephant that we got when we had our gender scan, and this elephant has the baby's heartbeat, and he presses it and he sleeps and takes it absolutely everywhere. And in his head, when he cuddles that in his head, when he cuddles that elephant, the baby can feel it. So as you can imagine, it is just heartbreaking. It's the worst thing I've ever had to go through, and it's definitely up there. It's the worst thing I can imagine ever having to go through, besides something happening to my son that I already have. And the process that I'm about to go through is the most terrifying thing, the most heartbreaking thing I could ever imagine going through in my life. Just now, I had the option of having, there's different ways. Because I'm 20 weeks, you're not naturally offered surgery to remove the baby. But because I'm near the RVI and there's specialists there, they would be able to do that. But there's a lot of downsides to that. One, I don't want a scar from this. I don't want to have a scar that I look at and remember that my baby was just pulled from me. Like, that to me is personally worse. Two, there is obviously the longer recovery time. Three, it puts me at risk obviously for future pregnancies, because essentially it is like having a cesarean section, so not quite as big, but it's still just obviously any kind of surgery like that is a bit of a risk, and I don't want to risk anything. And four is just if they were going to do a post-mortem on the baby, apparently it's a little bit more difficult if they've done that, to get a post-mortem or to get an accurate post-mortem. So I've decided to go down the route of giving birth to the baby, which is obviously horrific, and it is essentially you are going through real labour, will be painful, the thought is just the most horrifying thing. But I mean, it's either somebody rips a baby out of me while I'm asleep and it's gone, and I feel like it didn't exist, or I go through this horrible pain. And to be honest, there isn't really one option that kind of feels better. It's just more health reasons that I've kind of ruled out the other one. I do have the option of spending time with the baby after I've had the baby, which personally I think I will do, because again, I don't want to pretend like he didn't exist. I want to be able to have a memory of him, as hard and as painful as it's going to be. I think I would regret not holding him. So I ended the video just before because someone came to the house, but although I'm wearing something different, this is actually the same day, so obviously I thought I'd kind of not necessarily pick up from where I left off, because since then since that first video, I've been to the hospital today and started the process by taking the first tablet that I had to take. That tablet was just to basically tell my body that I'm not pregnant anymore, and also to kind of be talked through exactly what I'm going to go through on Saturday. I obviously look like shit, I look crap, I don't care. I feel like, I know I can still cry, but I kind of feel like I can't cry anymore. I just cried and cried and cried. I broke down in the hospital, and as much as we know that what we're doing is what we believe is right, and I mean we've had a lot of support from family and friends who are saying that, you know, what we're doing is right, not that that matters because it's our decision at the end of the day, but you know, everybody seems to be kind of applauding and saying we're brave and whatever. Not, again, it's not that matters as such, but I just mean I think we are doing the right thing. But the moment that they gave me the tablet, I'm not gonna lie, I looked at my husband and I sat there and I looked at him and waited for a minute, and I waited for him to go, don't do it. And the reason I waited for that wasn't because I thought I was doing the wrong thing, it's because I just wanted someone to save me from what I was going through. And so I just sat there and there was this selfish part of me that didn't want to go through this, sat there and prayed that he would say, don't do it. and he didn't. That doesn't mean that he didn't want to say that, though. He did. He wanted to say for me not to do it, but again, for the same reason that I took the tablet, we both tried to keep our minds on what we were doing and why we were doing it. I took the tablet and then I broke down. I just kept saying, I've done it, 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 I can't believe I've done it, and I can't believe, you know, I'm a mum and I can do this to my child. I started feeling all the guilt, it started flooding in. And we also said, because they keep you in for half an hour to make sure that you don't throw it back up. We even said that if I throw it up, then that to me was going to be a sign. Not that I necessarily believe in anything. I don't know what I believe in really, but we just said if I throw it up in that half an hour, I'm not taking another tablet, because it was going to be a sign. And I didn't throw it up. It's well and truly in my system. You know, things are going the way that they're meant to go. And I guess I'm just doing this vlog again as just a way to just say what I want to say. My husband's downstairs, he's got the music on, he doesn't know I'm doing this video. It's for me, again, it's just for me, because I talk to my husband, but it's hard because we're both going through it, and we're both upset, and we, you know, when one of us is trying to be strong, the other one's crying, and then, you know, the other one's trying to be strong, and then that person's crying. It is really hard. And like I say, talking to family and friends, they're all very supportive, but you almost don't, as much as you appreciate it, you also don't want it. You just want people to just not sympathise, to not look at you with that look, or not cry. You don't want to hear others crying. You just want to be able to say what you have to say, be as honest as you can, and as you need to be, and for nobody to just give you anything back. I just need to be able to do it without getting something back right now, if that makes any sense. My son is at my mum and dad's, and we have decided that tomorrow, because obviously tomorrow is going to be a long day waiting for Saturday. It's Friday tomorrow, so essentially after that tablet it's 36 hours, so we'll be going in on Saturday morning. So tomorrow's Friday, and I've decided to keep my son off school. People can think that's right or wrong. I don't give a flying fuck, to be quite honest with you. He is the only thing that keeps me and my husband going at the minute. He is the only thing that keeps us kind of just keeps us going, and keeps us like, we have to pretend to be happy around him. Well, we are obviously happy around him, but I mean, we have to pretend that everything's alright, and that kind of helps us in a way, just focusing on him. So tomorrow we're keeping me off school, and we're going to go, well, I say off school, he's at nursery, we're keeping him off nursery, and we're going to take him out, we're going to spend loads of money on him. we're going to just treat him to whatever he wants. I don't care. Just he can be absolutely spoilt for the day. We're gonna do something nice, and there might be people that would think, how on earth could you be going through this and go out for the day with your son? Well, trust me, it's way better than sitting in the house all day tomorrow. Just I'm not even gonna say how I feel and how I think, what I'm thinking, but I did it today, waiting to go into hospital with my husband, and I swear they were the longest hours of my life, and they were the most miserable, horrible, and I was getting myself into the biggest hole ever, and I can't keep doing that. I really can't. Otherwise I won't make it to Saturday. I wouldn't make it to then. I'd probably just not turn up or something. I couldn't do it, and I have to keep focused. I have to remember why I'm doing this and what I'm doing it for, and that it's me not being selfish, because the selfish me just wants to carry on as if nothing is wrong and just hope for the best. That's the selfish me wanting to do that. but I can't be selfish. I have to think about myself and my family, especially my son, who I already have. It's just really heartbreaking. It really is. I can't put it into words. I feel broken. I'm not gonna lie, I feel absolutely broken, and the hardest thing is knowing that I'm not going to have my little baby boy. I'm not going to have him. I'm never. I mean, I'll get to. I get to see him after I've delivered him, but like he won't be coming home with us. He won't be mine. He won't meet Reed. He won't have met his daddy. He won't ever see me. I saw people in the hospital today with their new babies, and it hurt a lot. I wanted to smile, I wanted to look at the babies and smile, but it really hurt me. It did really, really hurt. And I'm aware that when I'm going through what I'm going through, I will be very close to the people who are delivering their babies, because I have to be, because they need all the staff nearby. So unfortunately I'll still be able to hear all the new babies crying, and obviously the mums with their babies. So that's going to make it very hard for me. It's going to be hard when I leave and I see the people with their new babies as well, when I'm walking out without mine. I really honestly wouldn't wish this on anybody, on my worst enemy. But I just don't know what to really do but to just keep trying to carry on. That's all I can do. And hopefully my son Reed will keep me going. If we have another baby, then, which, you know, I still would like to be able to do. I'd like to be able to give Reed a sibling. You know, he would love that. It's gonna be hard, but hopefully there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and he will never be forgotten. Ever, ever. He will never, ever be forgotten. We've named him. We've named him Elijah. He's called Elijah, and he will always have been my second child. So there's no forgetting him. There's no just kind of replacing him or pretending he didn't exist. As far as I'm concerned, he was my second child. He's just not here. And I love him already. I always will. I always remember him.